Welcome to your top 10 draft strategies instructional video. In this video, we'll talk about what you can do in your top 10 picks in a fantasy baseball league. Let's take a look at the first round. And the first round is more important than any other round. The most important thing to remember is to find a player that is an offensive player. For me, I would avoid pitchers in the first round because they can only help owners in one or two categories. Let's take a look at some players. With the first pick, an owner could go with someone like Andrew McCutchen from the Pittsburgh Pirates because he can give you everything that you're looking for. Or an owner could go with Matt Kemp, another outfielder from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Another player that could be important here is first baseman Albert Pujols from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. If you're not comfortable with any of those players, you could also go with outfielder Carlos Gonzalez from the Colorado Rockies. He gives you a little bit more speed and power than some of the other guys. If you're not comfortable with Albert Pujols at first base, you could go with Joey Votto. But with this pick, we're going to go with outfielder Andrew McCutchen of the Pittsburgh Pirates. In the second round, it's important for owners to find either an elite pitcher or an offensive player that helps at shallow positions. As an example here with catcher Buster Posey. Buster Posey can help you with power and with speed. You can if you can't be comfortable with Posey, you can go with David Wright, the third baseman from the New York Mets. And if you're not comfortable with that, you could go with power with Josh Hamilton from the Los Angeles Angels. Again, pitching is important. You can go with Felix Hernandez from the Seattle Mariners, but again, in this round, we're going to go with catcher Buster Posey from the San Francisco Giants. Third round is also very important. In the third round, the owner should be really choosing an elite pitcher at this time or an offensive player that might have fallen out of the first two rounds. It's important that you could go with someone like Hernandez from the Seattle Mariners or Ian Kinsler from the Texas Rangers. Another option could be power with Jason Hayward from the Atlanta Braves. But in this round, we're going to go with Felix Hernandez. This really bolster that pitching staff and have a complete ace at that position. In the fourth round, it is important for owners to remember that we have to add a great pitcher or two great offensive players that we can add a player with an upside. One of those players could be Bryce Harper, the outfielder from the Washington Nationals, who was the NL Rookie of the Year. If you're not comfortable with that, you could go with Billy Butler, first baseman from the Kansas City Royals. He would add power to a team that's lacking. Another option is Jared Weaver from the Los Angeles Angels to go with Hernandez to bolster a really good pitching staff. If you don't want to choose Butler from the Royals at first base, you could also go with Adrian Gonzalez from the Los Angeles Dodgers to take over that position. Since the owner skipped out on Kinsler, the owner would go with Brandon Phillips from the Cincinnati Reds. But with this pick, we're going to go with Bryce Harper, the outfielder. In the fifth round, it's important to add a player that will help you in more than one category. The owner could go with catcher Yadier Molina here if there's a little bit more comfortable. Or you can add more pitching depth with Gio Gonzalez from the Washington Nationals. To go with Hernandez, make a great rotation with two stud pitchers. Another position that is in third base, and go with Ryan Zimmerman, third baseman from the Washington Nationals. If those positions don't intrigue the owner, they go with Ben Zobrist from the Tampa Bay Rays. But again, the owner will go with Gio Gonzalez from the Nationals to add to their pitching depth. In the sixth round, it is important for owners to add a player that at a weaker position. That could start with adding third baseman Brett Lawrie from the Toronto Blue Jays. The owner could also go with starting pitcher CC Sabathia from the New York Yankees to go with Hernandez and Gonzalez. If that's not important, the owner could go with another outfielder in Jason Kipnis, from the Cleveland Indians. The owner could add speed with Austin Jackson, but the owner decided, or go with Alan Craig at a very important position. If the owner decided this time he will go with Brett Lowry because of the lack of great players at third base. In the seventh round, it is important to add a player that can help you in a category that you might be lacking in. The first choice is Desmond Jennings from the Tampa Bay Rays because of his ability to steal bases. Other than McCutchen, there isn't anybody on this team that is known for stealing bases. Another player that added this is Matt Latos from the Cincinnati Reds. He's known as a good strikeout pitcher, and if we add him with the players we have, it would make for a good, solid combination to possibly win that category. Rest could be addresses in relief pitching. A pitcher that with a little help would save categories, and also with ERA, which is earned run average, and WHIP, with Aroldis Chapman from the Cincinnati Reds. But the owner decided to go with Paul Goldschmidt from the Arizona Diamondbacks. In the eighth round, with these mid to late rounds, it's important to add depth to weak positions, but it's also to start filling your team out with guys that could possibly trade candidates for your season to start poorly. One of those guys could be Shin-Soo Choo, an outfielder from the Cincinnati Reds. He can give your team another great guy to add with good batting average and can steal bases. Another possible trade candidate is third baseman Pablo Sandoval. And another one is out from the San Francisco Giants, Alex Gordon from the Kansas City Royals, or another possible pitcher in Jordan Zimmerman from the Washington Nationals. With this round, in the 8th round, we decided to go with Chu because there's need of speed and starting to look like we really could with a good outfit with Chu, McCutchen, and Harper. In the 9th round, and this is the second last round that we will cover in this video, and just like the most of these middle rounds, it's about finding players that will help you throughout the season. One of those players could be James Shields from the Kansas City Royals. Another one could be Martin Prada from the Arizona Diamondbacks. If you're looking for pitching, it could be Max Scherzer from the Detroit Tigers. Or if you missed out on some players at shortstop, you can go with Elvis Andrus from the Texas Rangers. With this pick, it's important to go with Elvis Andrus from the Texas Rangers. This is the last round we will cover in this video. It's important to remember, as you continue to draft, that all categories are important for players in fantasy baseball. Another in this position, go with Brandon Marr, the starting pitcher from the Toronto Blue Jays, or Carlos Gonzalez from the Milwaukee Brewers to add more speed. But if you're not comfortable with Morrow, you can go with Ian Kennedy from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Again, and you're looking for another player to give you saves, which we haven't addressed so far, is to go with J.J. Putz, the relief pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks, if someone like Mariano Rivera, who's still on the board, doesn't intrigue you, and that'll be our selection, Mr. J.J. Putz. That was our first 10 picks. So remember, when you're drafting, all drafts are different and all strategies are different. So good luck.